Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of our Finding Solutions channel. Today, we've got a great topic, I think, to talk about, which is all about computing and how we interact with these computer systems. But before we start, just quick introductions. My name's Tom. We've got Parker and Ben back for another episode. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Doing
awesome.
great.
Glad to be here.
We're recording this July 3rd. So tomorrow is the 4th of July here in the US. So we're excited to be celebrating eating hot dogs and hamburgers and blowing stuff up, which I'm always excited for too. You guys got any
Just,
fun plans?
just barbecuing, hanging out.
Barbecue, hang out. Very
Swimming,
cool.
enjoying the good weather, so it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it's quite warm. Absolutely. Well, let's dive in. So today, like I said, we want to just talk about something that maybe kind of goes unnoticed, but really our interaction with these software and computing systems that we all have to deal with. So I guess just to set this up in talking about this, I've been around the software industry professionally for probably about 25 years now, almost 25 years. And, it's funny to see how much has changed and how much really hasn't changed. If you think about how we interact with software, there's been huge advancements in, for example, how we put data into the system, what type of devices we use. I've seen personal smartphones kind of be adopted and come out. I wasn't around. I wasn't quite old enough to remember when the mouse was invented and kind of came of age, but that came before it. We've got uh, AirPods and we've got Siri and Google Assistants and all these different ways to interact with computing. I guess just most recently, Apple Vision was announced, which could be interesting. They're kind of
Awesome.
entering the market after others, but yet another way to interact. And again, so much has been changing, but just fundamentally, so much is still the same. I have to go to a computer system almost, you know, every waking hour of the day and interact with it in some way. I'm booking a flight, or I'm reading the news, or I'm interacting with data for my friends, or I might be banking or something else, and I'm doing it through my phone or my computer, keyboard and mouse. But something that always annoys me, something that's my pet peeve there, I just wonder why computing systems sometimes are so poorly designed. They make us still do so much work. And so I guess just a quick story that I would tell is when I was using UPS a couple years ago, it just struck me. We were shipping some things, and I can't remember the context, but we had an account with UPS. And I think they just made me. We went into a UPS store. They made me fill out my personal information again. And even though I had an account, it just really irks me that something like a computer system would make me provide data that I've already provided it. And I know kind of a first world problem, but it's something that is just one example of where the computer's just making me do too much. The computer software system, and it really is the designers we know, they're just making me provide information that I've already given it before. That's just one example.
Yeah, it can get definitely really frustrating. I think tons of enhancements have been made, though. I was just thinking as you were talking about that, if we were all to time warp back to like 2002 and go interact with, I don't know, Internet Explorer, because that's probably all that was really going on at the time. Our passwords wouldn't be saved. We'd have to remember an email password for every single account login. There's probably not Google SSO. We'd be so frustrated. So there are times like that. I think that they're getting more limited, and we'll continue to have data provided for us and stored in unique ways and better ways of interacting with software, but definitely some frustrating moments still. And there's definitely a lot of progression, though.
Oh yeah, it's way better. Yeah, to say it's not better, I totally agree. It's progressing very, very
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, and to say it's a first world problem or it's silly, I can obviously understand that point of view, but at the same time, I think we're kind of spoiled with some of the technology we have with face recognition, at least for my iPhone. So I'm spoiled with that when I can just scan my face and I can pay for things, buy things, um, log into things. So when I have to do the same thing, data entry, I get a little impatient. But I think companies and at least my experience, I went to a mechanic and I have to put in the same information every time: my car, my make, my model, my address. And selfishly, in my mind, I'm like, in a perfect world, it'd be cool to just show up and all that information will just be inputted to eliminate friction for me and for the mechanic. And I feel like that can go in pretty much any realm or any industry, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I mean,
it
even Amazon knows my car
yeah.
model, make and model after I put it in once and tells me whether everything I'm buying is compatible and things. And we live in such a world where privacy is a real concern. It's like this double-edged sword. We want the systems to know about us to make our lives easier, but of course, once they know all about us, we all have conspiracy theories that they're listening to every conversation and presenting ads and doing all
I'm
of that.
fairly
So
certain that they are listening to me, by the way, just to throw that out there. We'll see.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not certain of that, but maybe, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way. I would
Yeah.
be much more be inclined to think the NSA is listening to us than say the others. But so I guess to kind of put a bow on this as we kind of introduce this topic and finish it, I think that kind of the purpose of us coming together is thinking through a little bit about what I see as a watershed moment in computing with the new breed of AI. So as we talk about, okay, first world problems, but computers are making us put more information in than we need. The input that we have for computers, yeah, it's changed quite a bit. Voice interaction the last 10 years or so with these assistants has been awesome, with Siri and Google Assistant and others, and bringing headphones to, with earpods, the equation, home automation being part of that. It's all great. Before that, the iPhone. But what I see as the most revolutionary thing in my lifetime personally is the advent of these new large language models that are AI based, like ChatGPT, Google's Bard, and others. To me, having a background in computers, it's almost magic, even though we know it's not, and we know a lot about how it works, just because of how impactful I think this will be. So here's my thought, and then I have a couple of questions for you guys. But so if I look at how ChatGPT is going to change computing, I actually think the revolution it will bring more than what it knows and how it maybe can calculate something or even crunch data. It's going to take our input and transform it into natural language input, which is how all humans really want to have a conversation. What we're doing right here, just chatting with each other, is kind of what we all crave. So first of all, input will be totally natural language. We can just text the natural question in. We've all played with it to know how great it is at that. But it's going to allow us to have a far smaller amount that we have to provide the system for it to understand us, and then it's going to remember that. So I don't know what has been most impressive for you guys. Have you played with ChatGPT or these systems? What are your thoughts on it being able to transform how we interact with a computer? Do you think a lot of these user interfaces are going to go away? What are your thoughts on kind of what the future holds there?
I think it definitely. I can see how people are a little scared, especially in different industries, for maybe graphic design or marketing or things like that. But for me, I use it almost every day, and I'm impressed at how fast it is. And I use the regenerate response a lot. So if I
Oh
say,
yeah.
"Hey, give me 10 paragraphs on XYZ," and I don't like some of them, the regenerate button rewrites them immediately, and it blows my mind how fast and rapid all the responses are. And it's interesting to see how fast it will be in the next year,
Oh
2
yeah.
or 3 years. So
Yeah. Great
it's
point.
impressive for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to change the way that people like copywriters work, for example, graphic designers. I think there's always got to be someone behind the helm, at least for another few years at least. We'll see what the future takes us. It's kind of a bit of an unknown, but like if I think about it, like I'm in e-commerce, and if I'm going to write a product description, I still need to go to the interface, describe the product, help it, shape it, and then get some workout or get some output that I can then use. But I think it's going to change to the point where context is going to be easier for it to get. So AI is going to know my data, where I've been, my preferences. So to your point, Tom, where you mentioned like natural language asking for something, instead of going to a graphical, interface, if I call OpenAI and say, "Hey, schedule me at the barbershop as early as they can this week. I can on Tuesdays," they're going to call, it's going to do it, schedule it, and it's going to show up on my calendar. That's kind of the vision of what I see it going, because it knows me more than just what I'm putting into it.
Yeah, I think that's all really good points. I think Parker, and you're hitting on this first, is the generative nature of this new crop of AI. And in content creation. I think that's where everybody's latched onto it first. It's the lowest hanging fruit. But I think, Ben, you're right. I think in my view, generative AI is great and it's going to help us, do a lot less work, but its ability to eliminate previous user interfaces that existed completely and have them no longer be needed, because in lieu of some button and toggle and graph and login, I can just have a conversation. Once it's authenticated, it's me. I think is the real revolution. And yeah, the generative AI is all part of that. It has to know a context, be able to speak with you, have an interaction. But I see clearly we've done some work at Find with the idea that not only can we create information around what the whole internet knows, but we can actually inject our data, for example, our specialized data. So we do time tracking. So if a supervisor wants to be able to chat our knowledge bot and ask like who worked last week, and we can answer it, have the chat bot answer it automatically, for example, there's a revolution, because what's happening is we're trimming down the need for user input, or the way we're doing user input, and making it very, very natural and easy. But then on the flip side, we're not having to wade through mountains of data to get to the data we want. The data finds you with AI. So the output is the part that I think is also just as revolutionary. The idea that it can actually just get to the crux of the data we care about and not make me go through all these different, logins and screens and filters and other views to get to it. I think it's the most revolutionary part of that. So I think that we're just on the very beginning of a new revolution where, in some ways, maybe this is the last generation that will need to be creating a lot of the technical information that's out there right now. It's a little scary because this generation is going to be setting what the AI uses forever. But at the same time, it should free a lot of us up to do more creative and fulfilling things. And I think computing is going to transform completely in that way. And I think you're right, Ben. I think it's years away from taking hold. But in my view, it's gone a lot faster than I would have anticipated just a few years ago.
They're going to be quick years. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say. I mean, we don't know how fast it's going to move. It's already moving faster than I think anyone really thought.
That's right. Oh,
So,
for sure. No question.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Quick conversation. I think just to summarize, we all want computers to be smarter. We want computing systems to make us do less work. And I think this new crop of AI is going to live up to that in a way we could never have guessed even 5 years ago. I mean, we had dreamed about it, but buckle up. It's going to be an exciting time. And I think there's always going to be good things and bad things with it. I think as we focus on the great part of it, we should have a lot more free time to do the things we enjoy, because computing systems are going to get a lot smarter about making us do less work. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Ditto.
That sounds good.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for everybody's time. Yeah, this has been another episode of the Finding Solutions channel. Look for us next time. We'll talk to everybody later. See ya.
Yeah.